Beacon Furnitures Limited. We're local manufacturers of quality office furniture, dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. Our automated state-of-the-art factory is at Henna House along Enterprise Road in Nairobi's industrial area. Our showroom is at Njue Africa House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. We are passionate believers in locally manufactured goods. When you and I buy locally made furniture, we impact on the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters. For orders, visit our showroom at Njue Africa House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. Beacon Furnitures Limited. Jenga Kenya, tupate ajira.
Time for a comprehensive live bulletin right here on KBC News. Indeed, it is lunchtime news on this 4th day of the second month, that is February, which is World Cancer Day. Glad you could join us. We have a comprehensive bulletin right here that will also encompass business and the latest from the world of sports. Remembering the Africa Cup of Nations, we have all the sides, the goals, and all that is encompassed in the Africa Cup of Nations. My name is Njue. Lucy Mwaura will be our sign language interpreter for this live newscast. You can be part of this conversation via all our social media platform, and as I had mentioned earlier, is that today is World Cancer Day with the theme Closing the Gap. CS Mutahi Kagwe led the celebrations in Mombasa for the first time that they have been held outside Nairobi County, and he also had some goodies for the coast of people, where he also launched the Regional Cancer Treatment Center. And we have our very own Njue Karisa with the latest. Njue, if you can hear me, bring us up to speed with the latest on the celebrations of this year.
Good afternoon, Ben Njue. We are coming to you from the Coast General Hospital. Today, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Dr. Mutahi Kagwe, has commemorated the World Cancer Day here in Mombasa. This is the first of its kind of these celebrations to be marked outside Nairobi, and Mombasa County was privileged to commemorate this day and mark these days with some of the survivors who have told such emotional stories to tell how they can battle cancer, and of course how they can survive it and beat it. So the Cabinet Secretary, who was accompanied by Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho, who have just left these particular premises, have underscored the need of closing the care gap in the country. Of course, patients from Mombasa County were traveling all the way to Nairobi to seek treatment, but this has been made easier through the efforts of the county government of Mombasa in partnership with the Ministry of Health. I'm joined by the CEC of Health in Mombasa County just to tell us the significant milestone today that they are marking in line with the World Cancer Day and closing the care gap for cancer patients here in the country. Karibu sana, Dr. Godfrey in NATO.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think today I can say that we are happy to host the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Senator Mutahi Kagwe, to commemorate the World Cancer Day that is usually commemorated on the 4th of February every year. And I think for us, it's important we underscore that cancer is becoming a serious burden, not only to the institutions or the health facilities that are offering cancer treatment, but also to the families in whose members of those families are diagnosed with cancer, because cancer treatment is not very cheap as people think. And when we talk about the closing the gap, one thing that we need to know is that it starts with the diagnosis. If cancer is diagnosed early, it helps ease the burden of treatment. And then once an individual is diagnosed with cancer, there is the problem of treatment that usually starts for us with the chemotherapy, and then it moves to radiotherapy. And what we were having since I think 2018 or thereabout is an oncology center that offers chemotherapy for our patients, but we didn't have the radiotherapy component. So our patients who are on chemotherapy will then be referred to Nairobi for radiotherapy. But we are today, the CS for Health has assessed the readiness of the radiotherapy center, and he has given a mark of approval that is now ready for launch. So I think soon His Excellency the President will come down to launch the radiotherapy center.
There was an issue of free treatment. I'm sure this is good news, because one thing that the Cabinet Secretary has talked about is the cost of cancer treatment, of course, for some of the affected victims. How are you going to lessen the burden for some of this family who are seeking treatment at this facility?
I think I will say that there is hope. If you look, for example, at our oncology center, we receive about 6,200 visits of cancer patients who come for chemotherapy. The actual individuals are about 1,600 thereabout that are actively engaged, come for chemotherapy. Now, if you look at the bulk of those patients, currently they are already covered by NHIF. And so the good news is that NHIF now is able to cover for cancer treatment and for cancer patients. So we encourage that people out there who either have been diagnosed with cancer or they think they are at risk, to make sure that they have enrolled themselves with the NHIF, because NHIF can now cover for this treatment.
Njue, that is very good news for cancer patients. Of course, there is a cancer regional treatment center just right next to me, and of course cancer patients can access this facility. If they are covered with NHIF, the better they can access, the cover can cover for the whole treatment in this place. Another thing to note is the self-care that Mutahi Kagwe has underscored. The government can only do much to provide the facility, but it is a clarion call to Kenyans to make sure that they take care of themselves and go for a screening once in a while, so that they can detect the cancer case earlier enough, so that the treatment can be fast tracked soon enough for some of these patients. So of course we're bringing you up to speed in our subsequent bulletins, the events that unfolded here at the Coast General Hospital. But I hand it back to you, Njue, in studio.
Thank you so much. That has been our reporter from the coastal city of Mombasa, Njue Karisa, bringing up to speed with what has transpired when it comes to matters cancer. Today being World Cancer Day, the official day has been commemorated for the first time outside the city of Nairobi in Mombasa. And of course, residents of Mombasa have something to smile about after the launch of the Regional Cancer Treatment Center. Moving testimonies, as our reporter has mentioned, of how people have been able to bounce back. But the key, just as the CEC has talked about, early diagnosis and treatment is key in management of cancer. Thank you so much, Njue. The official ceremony was commemorated there together with the CS of Health, Mutahi Kagwe, together with the Governor 001 Ali Hassan Joho. Away from that is still matters health. Kisii County residents have been asked to come out and be vaccinated against COVID-19. The Kisii County Department of Health has officially commenced a 14-day vaccination campaign targeting both adults and those aged between 15 to 18 years. Purity Musel with that report.
COVID-19 mass vaccination campaign in Kisii County began on a low note as few locals turned up to be inoculated, with the campaign targeting both the young and the elderly. County Health are expressing concern over low turnout.
KBC County has had almost 4,000 COVID-19 cases, with about 249 deaths reported so far. Now that we don't have treatment for the disease, the vaccination is the only way to go.
The collaboration between the national government and the county government is okay here in KBC, and we're calling upon the local leadership. That is, it can be the Klashi, the Nyumba Kumi initiatives, and the Abatulate, as we call them in KBC. Let them help us to do this and speak in a language that our people understand.
Elsewhere, Kericho targets to vaccinate at least 57,000 people in a 10-day rapid results initiative on COVID-19 vaccination launched on Thursday. According to data from the county's Department of Health, a total of 208,329 residents have been vaccinated against COVID-19.
We want to really encourage our county residents that as we begin this campaign, let's all cooperate. It is for our own use. The government of Kenya has done it for the residents to enjoy good health.
In Siaya, the chiefs have been tasked to ensure that no one is left behind in an ongoing COVID-19 vaccination drive. Siaya County Executive Committee member for Health, Dismas Othiambo, says the county has surpassed the initial target of vaccinating at least 117,000 people by December 2021, as the county hits 125,000 of those vaccinated.
We must take vaccination seriously. It is our saving grace. It is what will make us finally overcome this pandemic and resume our normal lives.
Purity Museo, Lunchtime News.
Away from matters health, let's now look at what is shaping the political sphere. Esther Waringa, founder and president of Public Service Governance Organization, has officially launched her presidential bid. Waringa says she will be vying for the top seat as an independent candidate under the slogan, "Together we can." The presidential hopeful, who says her manifesto is pegged on economic recovery, decapitate corruption, boosting education, agriculture, infrastructure, among others, say the race to State House will not be a two-horse race. According to Waringa, the country is now ripe for a female president.
Makofi as the women of Kenya declare, why am I the best presidential or the fifth president of the Republic of Kenya? Beside being a strong, loving mother of two sons and of the more than 55 million of the people of Kenya, I am a committed patriot, highly visionary, and resolute in championing a cohesive diversity important in propagating national prosperity. I will move with speed and determination, not only to deter, but to totally decapitate corruption in all its forms by expanding and capacitating the relevant agencies, the DPP, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, to subsequently zero rate the vice which I have numerously been a victim of.
And from that, let's now cross over to Bungoma, where, of course, our reporter Wycliffe Okech is on standby to tell us more on the DAP Kenya association with Azimio in Bungoma. And of course, that is something that is being looked at in all corners, bearing in mind that they talked about supporting Raila Odinga as their presidential candidate, and of course is going to be a big one when it comes to the election itself, bearing in mind that we also have ANC and we also have Ford Kenya in the region.
English. Swahili poa. Jaba Kiswahili pro mekana Nairobi pro miaka mingi. Jaba Kiswahili wacha hii. Well, thank you so much, my colleague Ben Troy back in Nairobi. We are indeed coming to you live from the poster ground here in Bungoma County. Right now, there is a rally that has been convened by the Democratic Action Party of Kenya that is seeking to get more ground, especially region as they seek to neutralize the influence of for the Kenya party. And just from this meeting straight away, let me just join the chairman of DAP party in Bungoma County, who is going to explain to us exactly what should we expect from this meeting.
Thank you so much.
Introduce yourself. And
my name is Jack Wanami Wamboka. I'm the chairman DAP Bungoma County.
This meeting here, it has been convened by the DAP. What should we expect from it?
We convened here as supporters and members of Azimio La Umoja in support of one Raila Amolo Odinga. We are here to rally our people, the people of Western Province, that we have only one direction, and that direction is Raila Amolo Odinga. We are here to say Musalia has gone to be the personal assistant of William Ruto. Wetangula has gone to be personal assistant of Musalia Mudavadi. And they say, buy one, get one free.
Regarding that, what they're saying that probably the governor of this county, Wangamati, will be DAP. Confirm that.
Wangamati is defecting officially to DAP today, plus 32 MCS who are for the Kenya and ANC. So Bungoma County is DAP County. Western Province is DAP Azimio La Umoja. That is where we are. That is our spirit as the Western people. Nobody shall ever kill that spirit.
And as we wait for the Excellency Governor to arrive here, which are the leaders that we can expect here?
We have a host of governors. We have Professor Nyang' Nyong'o of Kisumu, 001 Hassan Joho, Otichilo. We have Governor Ojamong. We have Governor Njue, and many others. We have 36 members of parliament on the stage. We have thousands and thousands of MCAs here just to announce to the people that you can buy Musalia, you can buy Wetangula, and you cannot buy Western people.
Okay, Troy, those are some of the sentiments expressed here by by the chairperson of the DAP party in this region, and actually those sentiments doesn't represent the stand of KBC Channel 1. Those are expressed by the chair of the DAP party in Bungoma County. And actually now that we are waiting for the leadership of the DAP party to arrive here, we'll be monitoring every detail that and every detail that will be emerging from those speeches, and we'll compile a comprehensive story from that in our comprehensive bulletins. Back to you, Troy, in studio.
And I'll pick it from where he said that, of course, those are the opinions of Bungoma DAP chairman there. But something I've been able to pick up is they're talking about a lot of defections to their party. Of course, not confirmed yet, but they've talked about the governor plus 32 MCAs to ensure that DAP is a stronger party in the region. Well, more on matters polls, Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization has set up a national peace advisory team to advocate for peaceful elections through a consultative engagement with key stakeholders in the electoral process. The team, comprising stakeholders from IEBC, the political class, registrar of political parties, NCIC, and the security sector, will be involved in sensitizing Kenyans on the need to embrace peace during the electioneering period.
The Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization has put together a team to champion peaceful electioneering processes. The organization's chairperson Rahab Muiyu said reckless utterances coming from the political class is roaring and must be tamed.
Maendeleo cannot sit and watch this country to be destroyed as we celebrate Maendeleo at 70. And with our age and the age of this country and what we've been able to walk this journey, it therefore became eminent that we had to set a team of the personalities you have had to talk to this nation as we go elections 2022.
Sentiments echoed by lawyer Ibrahim Lithome, who is part of the team, who said plans to initiate intergenerational dialogues and reach out to different organizations to ensure the election period is peaceful and fair already in place.
Through advocacy, through timely response to incidences that are likely to provoke violence, like hate speech. Maendeleo, through the advisory team, will respond immediately in case of hate speech that could easily trigger conflict. And we are calling for peace even after the results are announced.
This team will be able to visit the leaders of political parties, all of them, talk to them. They hear what is our concern. Because if they pass a positive message to the people as the campaign, we shall not have a problem at the end of this game. We shall vote and we shall get a winner, and Kenya will continue.
The organization further called on the youth to shun divisive and violent politics. Yusufar reporting for Lunchtime News.
In other news, there is tension in Kasiela village of Baringo County after one person was killed by suspected bandits. Locals are now fleeing their homes for fear of further attacks and want the government to act decisively and deal with the rising cases of banditry attack.
Residents of Kasiela village, Baringo South in Baringo County are living in fear following the killing of one person. Several families are now fleeing their homes to safer areas within Mushongoi, Kabel, Sinoni and Chebenyin, among other areas, to seek refuge.
Mali imeenda, ardhi imeenda, umaskini ndio hiyo. My request to the government, ombi langu kwa serikali. Naomba serikali watupatie NBR.
Sisi ni wapenda amani na mpaka saa hii hakuna mtu hata mmoja kutoka wale ambao wanatuataka. Mtu wetu hata mmoja ameuawa kwao, ama mtu wao ameuawa kwao, lakini watu wengi ambao wala wameuawa hapa kwetu nyumbani.
Over 10 families are seeking refuge at Sinoni Primary School, which has remained closed. Caroline Kangogo, a mother of 9, and Grace Chepto are among those that fled Kasiela village for their safety.
Tulikuja jana familia karibu 10 hivi. Tukaomba nafasi tupewe tukaishi shule ya sekondari. Watoto hawaendi shule. Watoto wetu wataweza kurudia madarasa.
The affected families are now calling on the government to come to their rescue and supply them with relief food.
Hatuna network ya kutosha, hatuna amani, hatuna hospitali, madaktari wamehama, askari wameshificha. Sasa hata usaidizi yetu tukitaka hata mtoto akiumia, mtu akiumwa ananyoka, hakuna mahali hakuna neto ambayo tunafanya kwa njia rahisi.
Meanwhile, tension is high in Kainuk area along the Turkana and West Pokot counties after an armed bandits made away with a unknown number of livestock. Turkana County Commissioner Mudhama Wambua said the bandits could have crossed over from a neighboring county.
Tuwaonyo kwamba ile usalama tumekuwa nao hapa Turkana, tukiwa na watu wa Baringo West Pokot yenye imekaa karibu miaka 3 bila kuwa na wizi hapa, na ile ingine tumekuwa nayo pale ya Kapendo, sehemu za Rokoni. Mtu mwenye atajaribu kuharibu tutamchukulia tu.
Timothy Kipnoso for Lunchtime News.
In other news, a section of workers at the Mumia Sugar Company have threatened to move to court to block operations by the new management Sarai Group of Limited. Under their concerns, their concerns are addressed. These include payment of salary arrears. The workers have also faulted their leaders in the region and at the Kenya Union of Sugarcane Plantation and Allied Workers for not taking sides with them.
Trouble at the Mumias Sugar Company escalated after the Sarai Group Limited was awarded at least 20-year lease tender by the company receiver management, after which the Sarai Group allegedly terminated contracts with a section of the staff at the sugar milling company. The workers claim to have not received their delayed salary arrears, yet they have been given termination notice from the new management at the Mumias Sugar Company. The workers have now threatened to move to court to block operations at the company if their woes won't be addressed.
Mkutano ilikuwa Murang'a. Watu waliongea juu ya machani chai, wakaongea juu ya kahawa, na wakapeana memorandum. Raila wakasema memorandum yetu ndio hii. So sisi kama watu wa Western, memorandum yetu ambayo Oparanya anapeana Fresh Watori anapeana. General Secretary wetu wa Sugar Plantation anapeana. Ni ipi?
A Nairobi court is Friday expected to give directions on the fate of operations at the sugar milling company. Meanwhile, police in Busia have launched a manhunt for a suspect who allegedly smuggled sugar from neighboring Uganda. Acting on a tip-off from members of the public, police netted more than 400 bags of illegal sugar worth 12 million shillings.
Gari inapoingia hapa, maana iko factory hapa karibu, wanayoumia ni wananchi wa area hii. Naendelea kuwahimiza kwamba wakiona kitendo kama hiki watupatie sisi polisi habari, kisha tuchukue hatua.
Irene Mchuma Odim, The Lunchtime News.
And to some more politics now, where a section of Ukambani professionals, business people, clergy and opinion leaders have resolved to rally the community behind Azimio la Umoja and Raila Odinga's presidential bid. Elsewhere, a section of women leaders have challenged all the presidential aspirants to consider choosing a woman as their running mate in their quest to State House.
In consultative talks with the former Prime Minister at a Nairobi hotel, the delegation exuded confidence that the former premier was suitable to deal with issues ailing the country.
Azimio.
Led by Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu and her Makueni counterpart Kivutha Kibwana, the leaders outlined the interests of the community to the ODM leader and the economic issue they want addressed 1 year Shum's office.
In a budget, Your Excellency, and I'm sure next year when you are the 5th, it is not going to be 3.6 trillion. I am sure this year it will surpass 4 trillion, and yet the counties are, all the 47 counties get only 0.3 of the 3.6 trillion. 300.
There was a time some people used to say, huwezi kukubalika uwe rais, lakini sasa tumeona hata mlima unasema uwe rais. Kwa hivyo kwa mlima unasema hivyo.
There are many things. We want roads done. We want our people appointed. We want water. We want all these things. But Baba cannot do those things unless he wins and becomes the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya.
Odinga, on the other hand, expressed his gratitude to Kamba leaders for heeding his call for national unity and inclusivity through the Azimio la Umoja initiative.
We want to ensure that there is fairness in our society. And there's also equity in terms of distribution of resources in our country. That no part of the country grows faster than other part of the country. That we can do it.
Elsewhere, a section of women leaders from Kiambu County have challenged all the presidential aspirants to consider choosing a woman as a running mate in their quest to status. Led by Kanu Women Congress leader Gladys Chania, the leaders say the presidential candidate must be at the forefront in the pursuit of gender equality in the country.
All that are involved in the leadership dialogues to involve women, and notably to urge all political parties to put tangible measures to encourage women aspirants.
I want to urge political parties and those who are aspiring to vie in various positions, please consider having women and let us support Azimio la Umoja, as Baba has been championing for BBI, which we all know has gone on a short break.
Hashtag running to win.
Kina mama uongozini.
Timothy Kipnoso for Lunchtime News.
On that political note, we are due for our first break at about 28 minutes past the hour. But don't go away, we still have more news. I say Ali Hamza, you say you are watching live. Shadrach Barasa, you say you're watching live from Busia border. We'll be back in a short while.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Kenya is facing an engineering crisis. A biting shortage of professional engineers is threatening to derail the achievement of various infrastructural projects in the country. What do we need to do to boost the number of qualified engineers from the current 2,500 to 10,000 by the year 2030?
We just need to ensure that more budget is given to the training of the engineer, more opportunities are made available so that students who are graduating from engineering schools are able to be employed.
This week on Inside Government, we talk to the President of Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga, on the steps we need to do as a country to realize our aspiration as an emerging nation, right here on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back, and just in case you joined us, this is KBC Lunchtime News. Elsewhere, the National Police Service says it's managing rising cases of stress among the service through counseling and sports. Nakuru County Commander Beatrice Kiraguri says the NPS, that's the National Police Service, is working to address living conditions of its officers, noting that police, just like other Kenyans, are affected by issues, family issues, and harsh economic times.
Healing Boot Football Tournament is among activities that have been adopted in Nakuru to help police officers time to wind down and engage members of the public.
So after every 2 or 3 weeks, we are in the field doing football, and officers in Nakuru are happy. Not that there is no depression, but at least we are able to make sure that we minimize depression within the officers so that they can be effective and efficient in service delivery.
Nakuru County Commander Beatrice Kiraguri says the National Police Service is working round the clock to address the working and living conditions of its officers, noting that in the last couple of years, cases of suicide and murder within the uniformed officers have risen, with depression, harsh economic times, and working conditions blamed for the incidences.
We all get depressed in one way or another. We come from families. We come from a very harsh environment, yes. There are hardships, watu ni wagonjwa, and that is why askari anakuwa na depression.
Kiraguri noted such activities, including counseling, have improved the working relationship between the public and the police department, which has also led to reduced crime in the area. Kiraguri was addressing the press after visiting Gilgil Special School, where police officers donated assorted food and non-food items to the institution that has 125 students.
County, where a privately owned light plane has crashed at Nova Pioneer International School in Ruiru. The aircraft, a Cessna F5Y CFT, flown by a 23-year-old pilot, was from Naivasha to Tatu City.
Awaiting the officials from Kenya Civil Aviation, who will conduct more investigations as to the cause of the accident.
Crash landed here next to Nova Schools at Tatu City. On board was just the pilot, and no injuries.
Elsewhere, more than 200 families living in Canaan informal settlement at the River Machakos County are living in fear of eviction by some private developers eyeing their alleged piece of land. The families say they have been receiving threats from individuals demanding them to relocate.
The residents are accusing the local administration of colluding with the land grabbers to evict them, saying their attempt to seek a redress from relevant government offices has fallen to their fears.
Elders wa mashinani wa hapa kwetu, wazee wa mtaa wanatumika na hii nini standard nyingine ya machifu. Maana wanakuja kutuandika majina hapa wakiwa wanasimama. Wanasimama hapa wanaandika majina, wanatuandika majina wao wenyewe tunatakiwa kuhama. Na wanatuletea report. Wakiwa wako waini wanasema wanataka sisi tuhame. Wow. My chiefs.
The residents say they live in fear due to continued threats of eviction from the unknown land grabbers.
Atuami. Sasa tunauliza kama hawa machifu ndio wanahusika kutuhamisha sisi, na sisi tunatrust kama ndio wanatumeka kwa Uhuru Kenyatta kutuchunga. Na wanaandamana na mtu mbroka. Wanaandamana na mbroka kutuhamisha.
They claim to have lived in the said piece of land for more than 30 years.
Mimi nimekaa hapa miaka 30 na zaidi. Na nimesalia watoto hapa. Wako hapa wako na mabibi yao. Na kile kinaendelea hapa ni kuonewa, kuvuguswa saa yote. Na hakuna mahali tunaweza enda.
The residents are now calling upon the national government to intervene.
Na hatuna mahali ya kuenda. Sisi tunavalia kazi vibarua hapa na tunachunga watoto wetu tukiwa hapa. Kwa hivyo sisi tunauswa hapa, tunaambiwa tutoke hapa kuna mwenyewe. Na sisi hatuna mahali ya kuenda. Kwa hivyo tunataka serikali tusaidie.
And still on evictions, more than 100 families in Sabugo settlement scheme in Nyandarua County are living in despair days after unknown individuals descended on their 166-acre piece of land and began to subdivide it. Chairman of the Sabugo settlement scheme, Joshua Ngugi, claims the residents who are awaiting title deeds to the parcel of land are being harassed by private developers claiming to have legal ownership documents of the land.
Residents in Sabugo settlement scheme in Nyandarua County are now considered homeless after unscrupulous investors invaded their land and claimed ownership. The disillusioned members say that if relevant authorities do not intervene, they risk losing their land, the place they have known as home for the last 29 years.
Tulifika hapa mwaka wa 1993 mwezi wa pili. Na tulipofika tulianza matatizo siku hiyo ilikuwa ni tarehe 8. Wakasikia sisi tuko kwa shamba, wakatutumia askari kuja, wakaona sisi kuna document ya company, wakasema haisi kutuondoa.
Joshua Ngugi says their efforts to seek redress from local authorities has been futile, fueling fears among the farmers who are now unable to prepare their farmlands during the planting season that has begun.
Gavana asaidie, President asaidie, wale wakogwe hawana pesa. Maana mimi najua sisi hatuna mahali tuko kwa sababu ya pesa. Hatukuna kitu kingine kinatuharibu ni pesa.
Isaac Wangai, a small-scale dairy farmer who has no allotment certificate, says his sister's grave lies in a part of the land but a private developer has begun to fence it.
Hii shamba ni yangu kutoka pale ile fence mpaka hapa. Wamegawa hii, wamewacha nafasi hii kidogo, wamegawa hii, wanataka kuuza. Na vile wamefanya wanaunganisha mashamba mbili alafu inakuwa moja, lakini yetu wanapewa sisi kidogo hata wanasema ni eka 2 na haijafika eka 2.
Susan Joroge, a resident of the scheme, says the simmering dispute is an impediment to the development of schools, hospitals and places of worship in the land.
Mtu mwingine amekuja kuweka ati aweke face, ameweka vikenge ati anganishe shamba yangu. Hiyo mimi siwezi kubali juu mimi ni mtoto mimi ni mama matima, bwanangu alikufa, mimi niko na watoto, alafu wakuja wakate shamba yangu na katikati. Mimi nitaachia nini? Watoto wangu watalima wapi?
Still on land, residents of Dagamra location in Kilifi County are calling on the national government to expedite the processing of title deeds for their land that was adjudicated in the year 2009. Locals say the allocation of the title deeds will bring to an end the constant land conflicts in the area.
During the awareness clinic conducted at the Dagamra Trading Center by Kilifi's Department of Land in conjunction with the Institute for Participatory Development, officials blamed the lack of awareness on land rights, saying it has made it difficult for locals to get title deeds.
Challenge kubwa ambayo ipo ni watu kukosa ufahamu. Watu hawajui. Imekuwa ni tabia yetu kwamba labda ardhi inapopimwa basi ikishapimwa watu wote hukaa chini wakangojea vitu viweze kufanyika.
Sisi tungependa serikali itusaidie na kule tuje tupimiwe. Ni kwetu kikamilifu.
Dagamra Senior Chief Daniel Kithi decried the increased rate of insecurity cases related to the land, saying despite him being a government official, he is a squatter at his own land.
Hii mizozo ya ardhi wanaipeleka pahali ya waanze kusingizia kama mzee ni mchawi, ndio sasa wa mgonge, kwa sababu labda kuna hiyo tatizo la mpaka baina ya famili hii na famili ile.
Officials present during the clinic promised to work with the relevant authorities to ensure the process is fast-tracked and the residents receive their title deeds. Reporting for Lunchtime News, Amomboi Otiende.
In other news, the venue in which UDA rally was to take place in Kilifi was last night vandalized by goons with claims of family land issues. The much-anticipated rally that was to see the Deputy President William Ruto and ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi market their manifesto has been brought to a standstill after police ordered for a temporary halt. Addressing the media at Mwango, Kilifi, where the event was to take place, Kilifi North MP Owen Baya condemned the act and denied claims the incident was related to family land vow.
Si atuambie yeye vile anataka, atuonyeshe aende nyumbani, hakuna kazi kama anafanya kazi.
Manake tuliongea na polisi, tuliwaandikia barua polisi, police department, tukaenda huko tukaongea nao, tukapanga mikakati ya security mpaka wakaleta askari hapa jana kulinda hii das. Lakini usiku kama saa 5 hivi usiku, mimi napigiwa simu naambiwa kuna vijana hapa wamekuja na watu wa PA, wanasema hao ni watu wa PA, wamekuja wanavunja dais hii yetu. Wakaivunja, wakaimaliza, wakasema hapa hakuwezi kufanyika mkutano, manake hii Kilifi ni ya PA.
Farmers in the arid and semi-arid regions should consider cultivating of teff to sustain their livelihood. The Kenya Agriculture, Livestock and Research Organization says teff, which is a short-term crop, can be consumed by human and livestock.
Teff is predominantly grown in Ethiopia, where it is used to make fermented bread, popularly known as injera. Farmers in northern Kenya cultivate teff, but in smaller quantities, with most harvesting 0.3 tons per hectare against a potential of 4 tons per hectare.
Because teff is a very potential crop, very drought tolerant, early maturing, and highly nutritive.
The Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, KALRO, is seeking to upscale teff cultivation in parts of northern Kenya by releasing 36 new teff varieties by the end of this year. Currently, the research center has developed 10 varieties of teff that include high-yielding dwarf varieties, which are less labor-intensive during harvesting.
The teff has a high potential, whereby even some varieties can give 4 tons per hectare, some improved varieties.
Seed development is part of KALRO's plan to strengthen the teff value chain in the country.
Being able to come out with more than 20 value-added food products from teff. Started with porridge, cakes, we have ugali even. They never used to think that they can get ugali from teff, but we have gotten ugali from teff.
Pastorists have been advised to cultivate teff as fodder since it is a short-term crop and regenerates faster, hence providing all year-round pasture for livestock. Benson Ruba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, transit truck from Uganda are stuck at Malaba, creating a traffic snarl-up that has slowed the movement of cargo to the port of Mombasa. Kenya Truck Drivers Association chairperson David Masinde says empty trucks that ought to cross through Luahaka to ease the congestion have ignored the directive, occasioning the snarl-up on the main highway.
Slowed movement is further fueled by the increasing traffic buildup that hit the Malaba-Eldoret highway for almost 2 weeks, that was instigated by stringent regulations on COVID tests on truck drivers that Uganda introduced last month and later reviewed them. After revision of the rules, truck drivers from Uganda were directed to use the Lwakaka route to free up the Malaba highway for cargo trucks headed to Uganda and beyond. Kenya Truck Drivers Association chairperson David Masinda says some truck drivers are avoiding Lwakaka route on account of being longer.
Mambo mengine ni madereva wenyewe, maanake tulipatiwa diversion ya empty truck ipite Lwakaka. But most of the drivers hawataki kusikia, wanalia mafuta.
Uganda Revenue Authority Manager for the Eastern Region, Duncan Kakonge, says they are mitigating the situation, having already diverted over 400 trucks towards the alternate route.
If they were not going through that route too, you can imagine what would have been on this side. So the issue is being mitigated.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Ibak Said.
Smallholder farmers across the country can now irrigate their farmers using solar-powered irrigation systems that will drive the country towards net zero by cutting carbon emissions. Davis and Shatleaf Group CEO David Gatende says leveraging on the clean energy source will enable millions of smallholder farmers reduce the high cost of putting up irrigation infrastructure. Here are the details of this and other stories in our corporate briefs.
A sustainable government initiative on water harvesting and development of storage through development of dams, water ponds, irrigation canals, and pipe networks are primed to boost farmer productivity. Davis and Shatleaf Group CEO Davis Gatende says securing water access for irrigation is game-changing for farmers and their communities as it creates jobs, wealth, and stronger agricultural sector.
Encourage people to put in water dams and tanks, and of course once you get the rainwater, you can then use it for solar pumping, for cleaning, and for irrigation. And so it's very important that people are aware that when we have natural rain and we have natural solar, renewable energy, we can do a lot better and irrigate a lot more.
Meanwhile, residents of Atir village in Isiolo County are steadily embracing horticulture and shunning the practice of felling trees for charcoal burning as a source of livelihood. Courtesy of financial and technical assistance from the county government of Isiolo and the World Food Programme, the residents are diversifying their livelihood through crop farming.
Through the interventions that have been brought in by partners, more so the World Food Programme under the Sustainable Food Systems, they have been able now to reduce the burning of the charcoal to get money, also embracing now the use of dryland technologies to produce their own crops.
Kutokana na hiyo pesa WFP ndio nikaweza kununua mbegu hizi nikapanda. Kila mwezi huwa tunapata shilingi 1500. Sasa ukipata hiyo 1500 ndio unapiga hesabu yako vile utafanya. Kwa hesabu yangu ile nilipiga niliona kwamba afadhali niweke shamba nipande ili niweze kupata mazao.
Finally, drought-tolerant crops have been introduced in Taita Taveta County, promising to cushion farmers against the effects of climate change. This is through a partnership between the county government of Taita Taveta and the USAID Feed the Future program that has seen farmers trained on production of sorghum, green gram, groundnuts, and pigeon pea seeds.
Platform formation of the Talafaka organization. We have established a proper seed system, and we have contracted 42 farmers to plant and grow seed for the farmers around the county. Each farmer produce 1 acre to 10 acres of seed of the drought-tolerant crops.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mtai.
Now listen to this. While on internship courtesy of the Kenya Youth Empowerment Project, Sharon Wenda learned the skill of jewelry making. She fell in love with it so much so that when she later secured employment as a receptionist, she quit to set up a jewelry business. Here is the story of a 24-year-old entrepreneur as filed by our reporter Yusuf Farah for this week's edition of The Young and Industrious.
This home located in Kabete area of Kiambu County doubles up as the operations base for Epika Jewelry's online store. We find the business's founder Sharon Wenda and her production assistant Fiona Atieno here working on one of their orders. She then briefs us on what led to the birth of Epika Jewelry.
As I was figuring out what I want to do with my life, I had a friend who told me like there's this project called Kenya Youth Empowerment Project where like they're training young people on entrepreneurship, financial management. It was a 1-year program, so I applied, I got in. So it was just mainly talking about business, employment, and then after the program, you get like an internship, like a 3-month internship. So it was a 3-month internship. I was being taught like beading, so I was doing like the Maasai belts, just like a lot of Maasai stuff for 3 months. Even after the 3 months, after like the internship ended, the lady who taught me beading, I was still doing some stuff for her. After getting the job, like being happy, I'm like, yes, I'm set. I didn't like it. So if I decide to just take this design journey, it's a bold move, but I can't do the two things at the same time. I have to choose.
Wenda then walks me through the process that brings about these works of art that range from earrings, neck pieces, bracelets, and full body jewelry.
And so when you're making a beaded piece, because we make like really colorful stuff, right? So the colors are very specific, intentional. So we put it in a plate. You have to segment it with like the different colors you're using. So beads are picked like one by one when you're doing like the whole pattern. With threads, we have to using pipe and then using like a bunch of different colors to just like roll the thread around the pipe.
On this wall are the highlights of our entrepreneurial journey. Different pieces that she has made and showcased in different stages.
Yeah, that's why it's in the center. Vogue.
The crowning.
Vogue Italy.
Sharon says every day is a learning opportunity in this venture, even as she wades through the business with the various challenges it comes with.
If it's a new design, like you're making something really new, there are moments of frustrations because when you've done something on a sketch and then when you're making it, it doesn't come out as you thought, there's a bit of frustrations when you're making something completely new. When it's a small brand, you have to do a lot on your own. Like you have to do a lot. You're splitting yourself in like 5 different directions.
Aiming at client satisfaction is the ultimate goal for Epika Jewelry. The business has since inception been her means of putting food on the table.
And then we have here, it's the Tausi masterpiece. So we showcased this in London Fashion Week last year.
And since joining, her production assistant has benefited from the training and is also now financially stable.
Within the last 2 years, I've been doing a lot of entrepreneurship programs just to basically improve my business skills because I'm still small and I'm growing.
I've helped my family and because it's been consistent.
Wenda is optimistic the business will continue expanding.
I'm hoping like we will get to a place where people are actually buying stuff off the runway here. That would be like a great place to be so that even when you're doing fashion shows, you know you're doing it and the turnover will make sense. So definitely want to get into clothing, but clothing that's incorporated with beadwork. So that's something we're looking to try and sort of grow into.
For this entrepreneur, her bijouterie products are her daily motivation. The entrepreneurial journey that started in 2015 is now a means to make ends meet for the founder, who hopes to set up a physical shop in the future as she continues to adorn people with an African touch, one ornament at a time. Yusufa reporting for Young and Industrious from Kabete, Kiambu County.
Very impressive, and of course you can catch another episode of the Young and Industrious next week on Thursday. The repeat on Friday. In other news, Egypt tourism sector is set to benefit after the launch of the ESNA tourism promotion campaign in Luxor Governorate. The USAID-funded $8.6 million investment is set to restore historic landmarks, revitalize ESNA's tourism infrastructure, and will showcase ESNA as a prime tourist destination to tour operators, investors, and the public. Here are more details of these and many more Africa news items.
The United States has contributed more than $100 million to preserve dozens of cultural heritage sites throughout Egypt. The campaign is expected to put ESNA back on tourism map and engage the private sector to explore investment opportunities and partnerships. It will hold exhibitions, photography competitions, and folkloric events to highlight ESNA's attractions, its readiness to host expanded tourism, and opportunities for potential further investment. Also, it will create jobs and increase public and private investment in Egypt. Meanwhile, Mozambique has ushered in a new era of widespread economic growth and stability after the Mozambican president inaugurated a new power plant in Cabo Delgado. The transition to clean energy includes approval of a legal framework to attract more investors in Mozambique. This plant will enable access to electric power, which will facilitate economic activities by reducing cost, creating jobs, improving living conditions. The 920 solar panels and the entire system will produce more energy, impacting positively the economic sector in the country. Finally, less money was sent through mobile money platforms in Ghana last December than was transferred through the platform in November last year. A Bank of Ghana report on electronic transactions showed that the value of mobile money transactions fell to 82.9 billion Ghanaian cedi in December from 86.1 billion Ghanaian cedis recorded in the period under review. The central bank summary of financial and economic data indicated that the decline was the first since September, but the third in the year. The drop in the value from November to December 2021 was also the first of its kind since 2019, when the central bank started publishing data on mobile money transactions.
And in sports, Egyptian goalkeeper Gabaski was the hero, saving 2 penalties as the Pharaohs edged past host Cameroon 3-1 in a penalty shootout after a goalless draw to set